Hey, beautiful people, Rev Derek here. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at Rev Derek Terry. My website, revderek.com. Also the pastor of St. Peter's United Church of Christ in Cincinnati, Ohio, at St. Peter's Cincy on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Man, we're in week 6 of the coronavirus quarantine, sheltering in place at St. Peter's. We're going to continue to do this until at least May 29th, I believe, is what we're looking at right now. So thank you so much for joining us week after week on our social media platforms. Please continue to like and share and let us know how you're doing. You can comment in the comment section, or you can send us a message and I'll get those personally and respond. Let's get started with today's task. Gracious, all-wise, eternal God, we say thank you. We thank you for your love, your kindness, your patience, your mercy. We thank you for your unchanging hand, even in the middle of all this uncertainty, even in the middle of everything that it is we're going through. We love you. We honor you. We adore you. Let all God's children say amen. Reading from John, the 21st chapter, beginning at the 15th verse, and it reads as follows. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Feed my lambs." He said to him a second time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him a third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was grieved because he had said it a third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep." God's word for God's people. Thanks be to God. I have a strange question to go along with this message, and that is, what was your first car? What was your first car? Think about it. Picture it. What was the year? What was the make? What was the model? What was the color? What did it look like? How did it feel? How excited were you? How old were you? What was your first car? What were those memories? Your friends, dating, all that good stuff. Think about it. Picture it. Envision your first car. Remember it. I'll share mine. It's a 1992 Dodge Spirit. It was beige. It had power steering, and that was about it. You had to literally roll up the windows, crank, 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 crank up, crank, 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 crank down. I got it December of the year 2000. I was 16 years old. It was 8 years old, and so compared to a lot of my friends, it was pretty awesome. But it was basic. But I love that car. That car got me through high school and into part of college. And yeah, it was a great car. I've owned a few cars since then. Some have been nicer than others, and I think perhaps my favorite car was it was a second or third generation Lexus LS400, and don't let the brand or the make, don't let that fool you. It was my favorite because I think it was one of the first cars that I bought on my own, paid cash for it. And when I bought it, it was a pretty, nice car. It's power, everything, all the bells, all the whistles of that particular LS400 line. Beautiful dark tint, and I loved it. But I drove that car everywhere, everywhere. Starting my professional career starting as a young preacher. I was all over the place in that car. It's heavy and it got me there. Eventually it lost some of its luster. Someone stole the stereo out of it. I never replaced it. Somehow one of the windows was broken out. I think it was like during an ice storm or something. And so I had it replaced. So there were 3 beautiful dark tints and 1 natural. The sunroof started to leak. It didn't leak over the seat or anything. It leaked in the middle console. So I had like a little cup. When it would rain, I would put out, sometimes the heated seat, the driver's seat would come on just whenever it felt like it. And so winter, spring, summer, fall, it would be hot. But I love the car. It was heavy. I miss it. One of the things that I realized it was time to perhaps let go of the car is when the air conditioning went out. Black car, leather seats. I'm a big dude. You do the math. I will never forget driving to Bowling Green, Kentucky one day to deliver a sermon. And it was hot, so I had all the windows down, the sunroof down. And I had my Bible. What I used to do, so you have a big Bible like this. And I would take the Bible and I would take my sermons like this is the sermon. I would stick it in the Bible. I had it sit in the back seat with like portfolio and some other stuff. And while I'm driving down 65 South from Louisville to Bowling Green, Kentucky, I start hearing some papers rustling in the back window. And by the time I figure out what's happening, my sermon is literally flying out the window. And so I had written it, I knew it a little, but I didn't know it enough. And so I got to my hotel room. I literally had like 15 minutes to get changed and get to the church. And God gave me this message that I'm going to share with you today. And the question was, do you remember your first car? And I've said all that to say that my first car, almost 20 years since I first got my first car. The car that I drive now is a major upgrade from that first car. We tend to upgrade our materials, right? The things that we owned and the things that we had 20 years ago may not be up to par with the things that we have now. Think of cell phones, right? What was your first cell phone? And so we tend to keep up with materials. I'm not a material person. If you know me, I have a problem with capitalism. That's a whole other message. But even I know that, there's a certain level of comfort that I've become accustomed to. And I don't plan on ever going back to a car without air conditioning, unless it's like a classic vintage that's garage kept and only driven in pristine weather. But like my everyday car, no, not doing that again. So my question is, do we take the time and the care and the energy to self-reflect and to upgrade who we are as individuals, to really look at ourselves and push ourselves to grow and develop and be better with the same energy that we put into enhancing our technology, our clothing, our houses, our cars, our stuff. We live in a society, especially in America, where materialism reigns supreme, right? I mean, we're seeing right now, in the middle of a pandemic, there's a critical, I wouldn't say critical, but there's a group of people in our country who basically says that I don't care if this kills people. Let's get back to work. Do we spend the time and the energy and the resources to enhance who we are, to push ourselves to grow, to change, to develop into better individuals, the same way that we invest in our stuff? And so in this passage of scripture, it's John, the 21st chapter, Jesus is talking to Peter and essentially is pushing Peter to think about who he is and what he does. 3 times. Do you love me? Yes, God. Feed my sheep. Tend to my sheep. Feed my flock. And so Peter got a little annoyed, right? After the first time he said yes. After the second time he said yes. After the third time, the Bible said, what's the word? Grieve. He was like, ugh. How many times are you going to ask me? But it's that self-reflection. It's that stopping. Because sometimes we just say yes. Are you a better person now than you were 10 years ago? Yes. Well, so because I've grown. Well, have you really grown? Have you done the things that you said you were going to do? Did you push yourself? Sometimes we're so afraid of what we're going to find, we don't seek. That's why a lot of people don't go to therapy. They're afraid of what the therapist may say. And so in our materialism, we keep buying more stuff and getting nicer stuff and thinking that nicer stuff means that we're nicer, that we're nicer, that we are better. And that's not necessarily the case. And so how do you do that? How do you push yourself to be a better person? Well, you ask, what am I doing? How am I living? What do I think? What am I investing in? Where does my energy go? Where does my time go? And that's basically what Jesus is asking Peter. Do you love me? Okay. How are you showing it? How are you doing that? And so, are you a better person? Do you still think the same way you did 20 years ago? Do you still believe the same things you did 20 years ago? Do you still have the same values? In some ways we may, but we really shouldn't, right? Like why we date and the reason why we date at 16 should not be the reason why we date at 36. What values we shared at 14 should not be the values we share at 34 or 44 or 54. And our work ethic or our self-esteem, these are all things that we should be pushing each and every day to enhance, to grow, to expand, to develop. And how do we do that? By assaying our actions, by constantly checking in on self and checking in with other people and checking in with professionals and self-evaluating and journaling and praying and doing that spiritual stuff. Where's my energy going? Where's my time going? That's what Jesus is saying. Do you love me? If so, what are you doing? And so what's important to you? And if so, what are you doing? Where are your values? What gets you up at night? What gets you out of bed? What pushes you forward? And if that's true, what are you doing about it? How are you investing? How are you pushing yourself to be better each and every day of your life? Do you focus on the external, the stuff that people see, the car, the cell phone, the house? Or are you focusing on the internal, that actually building yourself up to be better? Warren Buffett, one of my heroes in business and life, his father, a congressperson, used to ask the question, is it better for people to think you are awesome, I'm paraphrasing, or to think you're an amazing worker, or to think you're this awesome person, but you're actually bad, or for you to be good and awesome at what you do, and yet people think you're bad at it? In other words, are you more concerned with what people think about you, what people see, their perception? Are you more concerned with that than you are with who you actually are? And so, no, I'm not telling you to renounce all your possessions and drive a hoopty, I mean, all of us, we upgrade our physical stuff as we can. I don't see anything wrong with that. But my question is, are you also pushing yourself, the core of who you are, the human, the adult, the human, the adult on the inside? Are you pushing yourself to be greater as well? What do you love? And how do you show it? Rev Derek here, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at Rev Derek Terry, RevDerek.com, St. Peter's United Church of Christ at St. Peter's Cincy, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and of course, stpeterscincy.net. Take care. God bless. Love you. Peace.